Guys, it's the weekend. It's Saturday. It is Saturday, April 24th. It is a freaking hot day outside. I think we're supposed to have record temperatures on heat in the next month or so. So that's nice, right? But we're still stuck at home. We're still stuck in Corona times. Today, we just got informed that SBA is getting more money, that the stimulus package was added. I'm, again, super nervous because I haven't received a single email from anybody updating anything on all the PPP loans that I have going on right now. But that's kind of where we're at with everything. We're still stuck at home. We're still doing whatever. I hope that you guys are doing well and you guys are maintaining what you can do. I'm in the middle of watching Titans right now on DC Universe. It has a 7-day free trial. They don't sponsor us. Nobody sponsors us at this point, but it's a good show and it gets you kind of out of the way to kind of do some stuff. Guys, my name's Jeremy. Thank you so much for tuning into Raw Focus today. And I'm a photographer, educator, mentor, dad. I'm all this stuff, influencer. And I am using this podcast to kind of push out a way for me to talk to a lot of people that I talk to, but I don't know anything about. And today's podcast was kind of impromptu. It wasn't scheduled until about like 12 hours ago. And I'm talking with Makena Lee, who owns Makena Lee Photography. I think Makena Lee Hens. I can't say her last name. It's Henze. Is it Hens or Hens? I didn't even ask her. I've known McKenna for such a long time that we actually just started talking on this podcast. And then I just went live on Facebook and didn't even tell her. And we just kept the conversation going without any dull moments at all. And it was really well. But one of the things that I'm interested in you guys listening to is that McKenna's gone through a lot of medical issues and still going through it now. And with COVID, with being self-employed and all that, she's not getting the help that she needs. And that actually makes me very scared. And so we actually spend a lot of time talking about things that she's going through, the hospitals that she's been to, and everything that she's seeing, especially with COVID, because she thinks that she had COVID for a while. At least they told her. But when she went and got the test, they actually messed up and dropped the vial that they put her sample in, and they don't know. So she had to get tested again. I think, I can't remember if she said that or not. So it's crazy. McKenna is also a photographer, and that's how I know her. But we talk about photography. Her style is very unique. In fact, she's moving to LA soon because her husband got an amazing mystery job. Sorry, not her husband. I keep saying hubby. They're not married yet. They're getting married this year. But he got an amazing job, and we don't know what it is. We've kind of narrowed it down. She mentioned a show on Netflix. We don't know. So we don't know. So, but very interesting person. I know that you guys listen to podcasts. You can't really see her, but she has bright red hair, lives in Sparks now. And we shot it. She's in her bedroom where apparently she crashed, fainted, blacked out, and not so fun stuff. But she's always been very soft-spoken, inspiring, positive to me. Anytime I talk to her, she has kind of a warm light, and I hope you guys can hear that as well as we talk. So guys, thank you so much for the support so far. This has been super fun. I'm filming these and recording these way in advance of anything that I'm posting right now. So I have like a good backlog of 3 months of episodes. So you guys will be hearing these as they come out. Thank you for listening to them. Thank you for sharing them so far and subscribing. I appreciate it. And the numbers are going up every week, and it's making me very happy. But tell your people about me because we got to keep this going. Without further ado, here's Makena Lee.
I'll just sit back here.
Yeah, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm just hanging out.
Yeah.
Yep. A couple of the kids went and did a hike with the grandparents. So we just have the son at home and just doing a little bit of this.
This is fun. This is cool that you're kind of putting this all together.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I kind of transitioned. I've always wanted to, I actually started thinking about interviewing photographers and all that. That was my main like goal. And then but I just didn't want it to be like a photography podcast. Because there's a bunch out there. So it's working out. I mean, everybody's been pretty good, been getting some good views and follows, and the podcast world is crazy because there's like so many.
Mhm.
So just getting my name out there is like almost impossible, but I don't even know if I'm doing it for that aspect of everything.
I mean, but it's kind of good even just for your own community. Like if you think about it like as like the big podcasters that are like worldwide, you're at least known for your own community with your own different podcasts,
Right.
which is pretty
Right.
cool, which is nice. And which is always like I guess my point is you want to make friends with your community as much as
Hmm.
possible. So I think it's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, well, the big ones are like they're all celebrity based, right? I mean, they're all like, um, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I don't have celebrity friends, and that's how they get it. Like, if you love a certain celebrity, you're gonna get a ton of watches just because of that celebrity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's really it. So, what did you do today? How's your day going?
Um, so today, just a lot of editing. Luckily, I do have a lot of edits that needed to be done before this whole thing happened.
Right.
Um, but that still is like a whole balance because like, those clients technically could lose their job at any minute or already have. So then there's all those pictures that are sitting there that
They haven't paid for it yet, right?
haven't been paid for. No. So yeah, and you know how it is. It's kind of we're all at this like limbo of trying to figure out
Right.
what we're gonna do and how we're gonna make this work. So yeah, I mean, and pretty much all routines, sleep schedules, everything. You have
Yeah.
kids too, so um, the whole kid thing, I feel horrible because like we're just like locked inside. I'm too scared to even go outside.
Right.
So I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So we're literally just like pulling each other's hair out, being stuck in this house.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where it's at. Hopefully, I think everything's starting to relax a little bit, or I think the danger's still out there, but I think a lot of people are still just kind of like, they since they haven't gotten it, they feel like they can't get it and they won't get it, so then they start to, do their thing.
Yeah,
But shoot, I was driving around South Reno yesterday. I had to go pick up some face masks that we ordered from somebody's house, and I had a mask on. I was doing whatever, and then as I was driving by, I drove by a park, and kids are playing on the park. People are playing basketball. It's like 5-on-5, and I'm
yeah,
sitting there like, what is happening? Like, why am I doing this and you guys aren't doing this? Like, what is it that makes you guys so like immune and invulnerable to everything?
yeah.
And that is frustrating.
I feel the same way personally. I mean, I know that there's two different sides of the story and two different opinions on the whole opening things up and all of that stuff. And obviously, Nevada is at a plateau and we're doing really well because
Right.
people have been, staying in and people have been taking it more seriously. But now all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, well, there's no cases. Let's just all run
Right.
amok, and they're not understanding no, there hasn't been a shown of a decline, which is what the governor is trying to explain, that we're waiting for that decline for us to say
Right.
okay, we're good. So
Yeah, and I think everybody's right. Just
opinion,
frustrated.
yeah. I mean, I'm just like my personal opinion, like we're all struggling, I'm struggling, everybody's struggling, but I would rather struggle than die or have a loved one die.
Right.
So mean, it is what it is. But yeah, it is a big kind of controversial, subject, and then it gets political, so it's kind of messy and hard to even talk about because I know a lot of people get really sensitive about it. So it's
I
always
agree.
hard.
Well, I mean, I think everybody nowadays gets sensitive about everything, right? I mean, like you can't really
Right.
talk about anything. But the frustrating part, and we're going to get into this, is like as us being photographers, I feel like what we do is probably the easiest thing that we can do, like in any job, to maintain social distancing.
Yeah.
I mean, even looking at your shots, your photography, I assume that you are shooting with a really long lens, really far away, open
Hmm.
f-stop. So like for us not to be able to go out to a park or a
Yeah.
galena or something and shoot is crazy when they, and even the whole porch thing, everybody's like, yeah, you can do these porch photography thing. I'm like, yeah, totally. But then all of a sudden we're like, no, we're going to get fined if we do that.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy. So McKenna, before we get into all this, where are you from?
So like born and raised Indian.
Whatever that means to you. Yeah. So I know it means some things to some people, but like, you know,
So I'm kind of a crazy. childhood passed, I was bounced around quite a bit. So I grew up in Vegas for about 15 years, and
Okay.
then I lived in Hermosa Beach, California, all the way up until junior year of high school. And then I moved here to Carson City, which actually now I'm in Sparks, but I moved to Carson City my junior year and moved in with my grandparents. And
Mm.
actually, that's when the spurt of photography had started for me. I had a lot of different traumas, and I was just a mess of a teenager. I hope to God my children aren't like me. But
It's going to be
my
karma. It's going to happen because of what you
I
did.
but my grandmother, was wonderful and got me on the right track, and I got good grades, and I started the whole school newspaper. And originally I was just doing the whole journalist part, and the original school photographer had backed out, and she kind of just like threw the camera at me, and she's like, I need you to go shoot the soccer game at McLean, or not McLean's, at Damani versus what's the other high school that starts with an M? I don't know.
Roanoke.
So yeah, so I think that was maybe it. Who knows? It was so long ago.
Right.
But I did, this whole sports photography thing. I was like, oh wow, like this is actually really fun, and I'm kind of good at it. And it kind of just started from there. And then when I graduated, I went to college and I did my business degree,
Nice.
understanding that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I was still on the baseline because it actually still is a goal of mine to become a nurse. I've always wanted to be a trauma nurse.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That's just, and probably actually is still going to happen. But I'm probably going to be like a 40-year-old new nurse.
Have you started school for that at all?
So I mean, technically, yes. Because with my business stuff, I had gotten most of those credentials out of the way.
Right.
Um, so I can jumpstart into all the nursing stuff as well. But I just has just gotten so focused with photography, and my photography is finally starting to skyrocket with that. So I decided I'm gonna kind of go with this. And as we all know, like obviously, kind of like with actors and actresses, I feel like it's the same thing with photographers.
Right.
There's going to come an age and time when people aren't going to want me, and I understand that. And my backup plan is I'm just going to go back and do my nursing, and
Right.
which has always been a goal of mine. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to always be cool and hip.
Well,
So
and it's not even that, but it's like, yeah, I mean, are we going to get bored for doing this for so long?
yeah,
I mean, we create our style, and right now I feel like you have a very distinct style, right? It's your
yeah,
editing, it's your shoot style, and at some point you're going to get bored of that. But then
yeah,
if people keep asking for that, you're going to be like, crap, do I still want to do this, or do I want to do something else? And so it's not even about the other people at this point. It's kind of like how we're going to modify and change into everything. So with photography as a business, I mean, how do you feel like it's going now with you? Do you feel like, I mean, is that where it's at right now? And is that holding you back from becoming trauma
yeah.
nurse?
So I actually, so I've been doing photography for about like 12 years. I started taking it professionally and seriously for like 5 years. But then I've been doing it full time for 3.
Cool.
And I feel like every year it's just getting better and better. And even with this whole pandemic, I still feel pretty strong and steady and sturdy with everything. And I finally have kind of learned what my style is. I've kind of been able to put my foot down and have my voice and be like, this is what I am. If you don't want to work with me, then fine. Like, that's just
Right.
how it is. And so, yeah, with photography stuff, right now, like this is what I want to pursue, which is a whole nother thing. I don't know if you know, but I'm going to be moving to LA soon.
I saw that. It's on my notes. I went to your through your Facebook page. So yeah, your hubby got a job.
Yeah, yeah, big job, big job.
Big
I
job. He got
I can't legally via contract I can't say anything
sure.
because it's with like a legitimate huge studio, and it's something that everybody knows about. And so once we're actually allowed to speak about it when the production is released, then we can actually talk about that. But it is a huge opportunity. It's amazing. It's super exciting, and I'm so proud of him. Yeah. So with
That's
that being said,
awesome.
obviously, I mean, I've been here for about 8, 9 years now.
Right.
Um, I've built that clientele. I finally have gotten to that comfortability here. I've built my community, my friends, everything like that. So there is a little bit of sadness with that. But the good thing is that I do have bookings all the way out till 2021. So I'm going to be traveling up here quite frequently, either
Right.
way. And I have plans of being able to, plan like a weekend and be like, okay, we're gonna do like, a bunch of shoots on this weekend. Who's gonna book stuff like that? So my old clientele up here can still work with me if they would like to.
And so, I mean, ultimately, like, I know we say that, right? I know we say that, and it's, we want to do, we don't want to lose the clients that have started with us here.
Yeah,
But that's going to be hard. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, even me thinking of trying to shoot in Sacramento or moving to Sacramento, and we have family in LA, so we've
yeah,
always talked about what if we were to move, what we would do, and it's super difficult for me to actually go, yeah, we're gonna move and then I'll be able to fly back, once every other week or something. But like after a while, you're just not gonna want to.
yeah, yeah.
So would the goal kind of be like to build that business up there, slowly kind of push out, or are you referring photographers here? Like what's your game plan?
So, with my contracted work that I have here, obviously I need to fulfill that. So, I'm going to be using that time to be traveling up here and fulfilling all of that while I am building out there. And so, inevitably, once the end of 2021 comes and I'm done with all my contracts, here, I guess I will kind of play it by ear to see, what I want to do. I have always wanted to travel anyway, so maybe
Right.
like I can hold just events because I am a bit extra when it comes to shoots. I do a lot of like high production setups and stuff like that. So
Right.
maybe I can like hold like a cool like event and do like a whole setup with like
It'd
Tala.
have to be like that, right? It'd have to be some sort of like reason for you to come. So you're not going to come for one or two portraits. You're going to
Yeah,
come for like, hey guys, I'll be there for 3 days. I'm booking out these portraits. If I can get six booked, then I'll come down.
yeah.
But LA is not that far. It's like 8 hours away. Do you think you're gonna be driving or are you gonna fly?
So I was thinking about driving, but then when I thought about having to drive like every couple of weeks, I was like, I don't know. So it's probably going to be a little bit of mixture of both, and also depending on like, the amount of work or that I have, so like how many days, because like
Right.
I have a couple like weekends where I have like weddings Friday through Sunday. So like that maybe I would, just fly or something like that. I'm not really sure yet with the whole travel thing. But the good thing is I did get a brand new car, so the car can
Nice.
make it, which would be nice. I'm a Subi owner, which I'm really excited about.
A Subi owner.
A Subi owner. I'm in the Subi fan club.
Oh man, there's probably like a Facebook page that you can rock on that too that everybody knows about.
Yeah, and I did like the most ridiculous, like the whole like pose stance, like with my car. It was
Mhm.
stupid, but yeah, it was super fun.
What you got to do when I not even the same thing, but like when I got a Peloton, we got a Peloton like 2-3 months ago, and yeah, first thing I did was find all the Facebook groups, see what people are doing, what people are wearing, and then started to try to mimic them so I could like be cool and be
Yeah.
part of the whole community. And that's what I want to do. When are you moving?
So it depends on the pandemic. So originally we were supposed to move at the beginning, or it was like right at the mid of May.
Hmm.
So he originally had gotten the job offer, the contracts were signed, all that stuff, and then literally the week after, everything just like freaking went downhill. So then they were like, okay, we need
Wow.
to postpone, but then it's not even just them, like all the studios, like
Right.
Pixar, everything like had to get shut down. and Disney had to get shut down. Like everything had to get shut down. So everything had to get pushed back, and then they are trying to figure out how can we remotely work on these productions, because inevitably these productions are going to have to be put out. So they have him now working remotely. So they're doing like these kind of video chats, and he's working on the computer and doing all that stuff.
Right.
So um, with that too, kind of all in that same week when we had gotten news about the job, moving to LA, which are just two huge big things, I had gotten news about a abnormal brain MRI that I had done, which was a really, really big thing for
Hmm.
all of us and our family. And we're still kind of stuck in the process because again, the pandemic has kind of ruined everything.
Right.
So I possibly have a tumor, a blood clot, a calcification that is larger than a penny to a quarter size on the back of my head. So it's not very small.
Hmm.
Um, and what had happened was I was having some pretty severe symptoms, like cognitively,
Right.
and I started to have like a hard time talking, and I was like slurring my words and all this stuff. And then I ended up having a seizure, which is why I ended up getting sent to Renown and I had the MRI done. And
So did
the
you know any of this? Like, did you think it was as serious as it was when you were just having, not being able to say words or anything like that?
So I have actually been dealing with a lot of symptoms since about junior year of high school. So I don't know how many years back. And originally they thought possibly I had multiple sclerosis, and they had done an MRI. And so what is interesting with that is that they did find a small spot at the back of my brain, which I am wondering if is the same spot that they're seeing, but it has grown.
Right.
Um, but with MS, multiple sclerosis, you have to have multiple spots, including multiple symptoms for them to diagnose you.
With
So
MS.
yeah. So with the first MRI that I had done, I had only had like a few symptoms. I was just having pain in my legs and in my hips. And at the time, I was a dancer. Yeah, I did ballet for like 15 years. So I thought maybe it was like an injury. And the doctor, the neurologist, insisted that it was fine. It's just probably going to go away. Like there's nothing to worry about. However, my symptoms continued and progressed, and it went from just pain to excruciating pain to the point that I had to use crutches because I couldn't walk. Uh,
Wow.
and I started getting like pain in my hands up to my arms. It kind of felt like this like hugging feeling around my body where like it was just like I don't even know how to explain it, other than maybe like labor for like a woman. Um,
Right.
headaches and stuff like that. And that lasted for a good 6 years or so. And
Holy.
about 3 years ago, I started having cognitive problems. And I was going through a divorce, so I naturally assumed maybe it was just depression,
Stress. Yeah.
uh, stress, something like that. And but it just kind of got worse. I was extremely lethargic, like I wasn't really able to do things like I normally would be able to
Hmm.
do. I started getting a lot of really weird infections, like my appendix ruptured, like all these things. And then I started having these convulsions, and that's when I kind of started realizing maybe there's something deeper going on. Um,
Right.
but the issue is unfortunately, actually, this area does not really have good doctors, and they really just don't care. I've been kind of pushed around so much, and especially when I was younger and trying to get help, they just saw I was after narcotics, so they just dismissed me and didn't really care.
Right. Just treated you kind of like a, I mean, that's, it's so weird to me. It's so like, cause I've, and I'm, do you feel like you're doing better? Like, I want to say I'm glad you're doing better, but I know that we just kind of said, except for the pandemic and all that. Do you feel like you're kind of
So
doing
right
better?
now I'm okay. I'm on a medication that is for uh, seizures as well as like anxiety. It pretty much just makes your whole body like loosen up and be
Right.
relaxed. So with being on that, it really has helped. And I take it at night because obviously, like it's a sedative, like it will knock you out, but it
Right.
will last throughout the following day.
So
Um,
yeah, it just kind of keeps you mellow, but that's smart. I mean, that's smart that you do that.
yeah. So, but what we're at right now with this whole limbo is trying to get me to a doctor. And I'm sure, as you know, being a business owner, getting insurance is like
We don't get insurance, we buy insurance. I mean, it's
it's yeah. And so all the quotes I've gotten, it's just been like I can't fucking pay for it. There's no
right,
fucking way I'm supposed to pay like almost $2,000 for insurance. Like I
right,
just don't get it. When the bill is going to be even more than that. So I just don't find the reason.
right. It's
So sorry, go on.
no, I'm saying our medical, that's the biggest thing. Like I think about this all the time, and I know that everything's a business. I know money needs to happen, but I know a lot of people aren't really self-employed and they don't really understand. But like for us, self-employed, we have to make that decision. Like I pay for insurance for my family and but
Yeah.
I have never used it. Like our kids will go in if they're sick or whatever. We just have it just in case. But for me, it's one of those things where like, how come if I'm super sick, you're super sick, somebody's super sick, why do
Mhm.
we have to have this amount of money in order to get help? Like is it not a humanity thing? And this goes way beyond us. This goes way beyond the years that hospitals were built and all the monies that they're making. But I'm sitting there like, if I right now couldn't see, couldn't hear, couldn't breathe, and I need to go to the hospital, I'm going to think about how am I supposed to pay for this
Yeah.
rather than get me to the hospital and keep me alive. And that's the most frustrating crap ever. You know, even I got into a car accident a few years ago and Remza took me to Renown and it was a 10-minute drive and it was a $20,000 bill for them to do that.
Absolutely.
Um, and I'm sitting there like, what, like if I would have
Okay.
known, I could have
Yeah.
Ubered there.
Right? Yeah. No, it's horrible. And um most of the neurologists, because they're specialties, they're specialists,
Hmm.
they will not take self-paying patients.
Right.
And the ones that will take self-paying suck. And I honestly pretty much have PTSD from this experience I had. I
I don't
saw
blame you.
able to finally get into a neurologist, and she was so mean to me. I had the disc. I had the disc with the MRI images. I even had them on my phone. I was like, just look at them. Like I was expecting, like I was going to be able to sit down with the doctor and be like,
Right.
this, like, what is this? Like talk to me, like all this stuff. And she's like, I don't care what you have to say. Like this is what this is. And she's like, the report here, says that it is unclear, and that's what we're going to go off of. I'm like, well, shouldn't you like do a little bit of research?
Right. It's frustrating. Yeah, we just, you just want to be heard, right? You just want to be
Yeah.
heard. You just want them to be at least verify it. I mean, most of the time when we call to complain about anything or go, we just want that verification that hey, you're right, you're wrong. We're not
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So once everything is settled, do you have a plan on where you're gonna go or what you're gonna do next?
Well, and see, that's kind of like the blessing in disguise with the whole LA thing. So, we got told the, brain MRI thing as well as the LA thing in the same week. And it was kind of like, oh, well, LA has the best hospitals right there. And
Right.
I called like UCLA, and they take self-paying, and they're like the best neurologists and neurosurgeons. So
Awesome.
there you go. And luckily I do have family members that work in the medical industry, so
Hmm.
I've been able to get different readings from different neurosurgeons or neurologists. So that's why like I have an idea of what it is, but because
Right.
I'm technically not their patient, they can't diagnose me and they can't take me because they don't take patients that don't have insurance.
Right.
But they're doing us a favor by at least
Giving
listening.
you
And
some insight into
yeah.
whatever it is.
Mhm.
That's insane. Well, I mean, I hope and I know it'll work out. Everything kind of works out for a reason. So weird that this all kind of transcended together for you.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
be able to go to LA and the most important thing is to take care of your health. I'm sure that's what your husband's focused on as well.
Yeah.
But I'd like to actually know about you guys. How long you've been married for how long?
So we are not married yet. We're getting
Oh, that's
married.
right. That's
So
right.
we've been together for 3 years. And
Nice.
originally, our wedding date was supposed to be July 17th, 2021. But
Okay.
when we had gotten the news with the brain MRI as well as the LA thing, we're like, okay, we need to maybe move that up real quick. Just because one, insurance wise, I know that he's going to be completely covered with insurance. And the only
Right.
way that I can get on insurance is if we're married.
And
Um,
people do it all the time. I think it's smart.
and so, two, um, I'm up and leaving everything, like
Right.
my family, my work, everything. So it's kind of like a thing of, just fair and kindness that, and comfortability, like knowing like, okay, we're married. We're not like just boyfriend, girlfriend type of deal, even though we are engaged, but it's just still that like that comfort of just knowing that I'm up and leaving
Right.
my home. So we moved our date to May 3rd. And we had
In
everything
like two
planned.
weeks.
Yeah, it was like it was a whole thing. But see, the good thing was is that, me being a wedding vendor, I already had all my vendors booked and I already had everybody and everybody was all game. And then COVID hit. And so
Right.
and so then we had to change the date again. And so now it's for August 28th, 2020, here in Genoa. So
Very
hopefully it's
cool.
gonna happen, but I don't know.
I think August is a safe time. I mean, I just booked two weddings for September, so had a
Yeah.
little conversation with them, and I think by then we're gonna have some rules. We're gonna have stuff in place. Where in Genoa are you guys getting married?
We're getting married at the White House Inn.
Cool.
It's a little venue. Actually, my aunt is the manager of it,
Oh,
so
nice.
it's pretty cool how it works. Like literally, all the vendors are my friends or family. So
Right.
it's really nice, and like as I told all the vendors, like I want them there as guests as well. So it's just
Sure.
kind of cool how it works.
How did you choose your photographers? I mean, how does a photographer choose a photographer to shoot their wedding?
Right. So I actually had like no idea where to even start because I didn't know what to do. But Rachel Wilson with Got Photography,
Mm-hmm.
a few months ago had reached out to me to model a dress for her. And she ended up doing family pictures at the same time and she
Right.
knocked them out of the park. And I was really impressed with her. And I was like, you know what, girl, like I need you.
Right.
So
Well, and
I,
I feel like you guys are similar in style as well, especially your
yeah,
editing process.
yeah.
So yeah, it's. I mean, obviously, if you enjoy what you do as your style and your photography, then this is
Yeah,
going to kind of be a no brainer.
yeah, definitely. And then me and her connect on a personal level. So I really felt like she was, great. And then I obviously have Tracy for my DJ. I can't not have Tracy.
Yeah.
I have Tahoe Elevated Events. Can't have Angelina.
Right.
Have um, Yellow Petal Flower Farm for the florals. I don't know if you worked with them, but they're amazing.
I haven't, but I'm sure. I mean, there's just because I haven't doesn't mean anything. I mean, there's so many vendors out there, and I'm trying
Right?
to push myself out more.
Yeah.
So how? I mean, what's your husband's name?
Dallas.
All right, that's easy. So how is Dallas? Is he just letting you kind of do everything with the wedding, or since it's like your world, or is he putting his input in? What does he want out of this wedding?
So he's a creative too,
Right.
obviously. And so he has done video, film, obviously the film productions, graphic design, all that stuff. He's pretty damn talented.
Yeah.
Um, so
Hence the
he,
whole new job and moving, right?
right? I mean, yeah, I still can't believe it. I'm just like, is this real? Are you
Well,
sure?
whenever you're allowed to tell us, then I'll believe it.
Right? Like,
Right now, it sounds really big, and we're sitting here like I heard you mention Disney and Pixar at one point, and I was sitting there like, all right, what is this going to happen?
you guys will see. And it's oh my god, I just can't. Uh, I want to just literally spill all the beans, but I also don't.
No, don't do it.
So, yeah, so he's really creative with all that stuff. So he's totally all about it. He's all about the photos, which is really cool. Which is also probably why we've been modeling for so many photographers because they're like, we need a model, like a couple model,
Right,
whatever. And we're like, yeah, we're down. Like, we're super lovey-dovey, and and he's totally all about the design aspects on things, and which is really helpful because it isn't just me,
right.
and I feel like our wedding is going to be like the dream stylized wedding because
Yeah.
I have like all the people I love that are gonna be there, and then just me and like my ways of like how I stylize things, like, and then him, and then the way he's done all his work. So I think it's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be really enjoyable.
Well, I'm super excited to see pictures from it. I know it's going to be amazing. I know you have a few months to still do everything and plan. But let's bring it back here. How has so are you guys theoretically both self-employed and just kind of work from home as like
Um,
photographer world,
well, so we technically were. So I've been the breadwinner pretty much for a while,
right?
um, because he's been making a video game, which is a whole nother thing that he
Oh,
is.
wow.
I know I can't.
That's insane.
So he has been making this really amazing video game, and then all of a sudden the studio reached out to him and was like, "We need you," and then they just hired him. So now he's also he's technically employed. He's not self-employed anymore.
Right.
So I'm the only one that's self-employed at the time.
So how has the whole Corona thing affected you guys, or has it really changed much? I mean, otherwise, we're not shooting, we're not allowed to shoot, quote unquote. I know some photographers kind of do stuff on the side, and I'm highly, highly debating that at this point. But how has that affected you guys' daily life the last month or so?
So luckily with my own business plan, I've been um okay, financially stably, like okay.
Hmm.
Because the way I do it, I book out in advance and I have people do payments. So
Right.
luckily, and that means I will be getting a monthly income no matter what. But obviously that leaves a question mark because most of those people are losing jobs. So it's just that whole balance of, okay, we're good with this month, but what does that mean for next month? Are they going to be okay?
Right.
Are they going to be able to pay?
Right.
So with that being said, at this moment, we haven't had really too much enough like of an effect, other than obviously like the whole rescheduling and postponing, which is a lot of work, and
Right.
trying to figure that out because it's like trying to squeeze in dates and like rearrange dates, and then also if it's like I had a couple different elopements that I because I also for some reason like do the whole wedding planning process for
Yeah.
brides. So I was the one that had technically hired Tall Elevated Events, hired the florist, hired the hair and makeup artist. So here I am trying to get all these dates and all these things all rearranged and put together for everyone, and
Right.
it's a lot of work and it's been really stressful. So luckily it's been kind of calm for like the past week, but I also had gotten really sick. I might have had COVID, so I was like out for like 3.5 weeks, and
Did you
so
guys did you get tested at all?
yeah, so that's just a whole crazy situation. I swear my
Right.
life is just never ending. Um, so I had GI problems for about 3 days, and then I started having like this chest pain, and then it felt like I got strangled. Like it wasn't like a normal like sore throat. Like it was like my whole like even just touching it, my neck like was just hurting. Like everything
Wow.
hurting. And I was like, wow, like I think I'm getting really sick here. And then about the fifth day, I started having a cough. And the cough, I like couldn't cough anything up. It was just like this dry.
Dry, like heaving cough.
Yes, and that just kind of kept progressing and progressing and getting worse. And so that lasted for like a good 5 days until like I literally was like, I cannot breathe. I'm having a really hard time.
Right.
And thank God I knew Elizabeth Henningsen,
Oh,
who
yeah.
yeah, who's a respiratory nurse. And I reached out to her and I was like, girl, help me, please. And so she actually went out of her way and had gotten me some albuterol and all that stuff. And so I tried to just stay home because obviously I didn't want to have to go to the hospital unless needed. And
Right.
so I was doing the albuterol and trying all of that. And about 7 days into being sick, I just like, I couldn't deal with it. And I had gotten tested at St. Mary's, and the correct way to do it, they're supposed to go 4 inches past your nasal cavity.
Mm.
4 inches is horrible.
Wait, where's your nasal cavity? Like right
Yeah,
here?
yeah, like that whole
So
part right
4 inches in
so
is
packed,
like,
like
yeah.
literally up into your brain, like way
Oh,
back there. So, and it looked like a freaking like zombie scene. Like I felt like zombies were gonna start jumping out of these tents. Like it was really
right,
scary. So they did this whole swab thing, and then they gave me an inhaler, the codeine cough syrup, an antibiotic, and a couple other things. And they're like,
right.
"Good luck," and they sent me home. And so
Wait,
I got home and I was doing all the medications and all that stuff. And when I did the test, it was done on a Friday. So I obviously wasn't able to hear anything back until Monday. Monday comes, I still didn't hear anything. I tried calling them. I was like, hey, like, did my test results come back? Like, I'm
right.
getting worse. I'm kind of getting worried. And they're like, no, no test results come back. I get a call at 7 o'clock at night from whoever it was at St. Mary's. And they're like, did anybody call you? And I was like, no, but I called you guys. And she's like, well, something happened to your test. I was like, what do you mean? And she's like,
Oh,
well, somebody dropped the vial, so it's considered contaminated. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean?
right.
And she was
So,
just like, well, so the test came back positive, but since it technically has been dropped, like it could have gotten it from something else. So I was just like, what would I do?
right. So did you have to, I mean, did you just kind of scratch it or did you end up going back and redoing it?
No, because I was having a hard time breathing, she was like, you need to go and get tested at Renown. And so I was like, oh my God, okay. So, which was what I like did not want to do. Like I
Hmm.
was like, dreading having to go to an actual hospital because St. Mary's had like a clinic. It was outside. I could just drive
Right.
in. Like I didn't have to go into anywhere.
Right. I mean, the worst thing is you go to Renown and you like contract it there.
Yes,
And
is
you're
that
like,
that's what I was scared about. And plus having kids. And so a
right.
little obviously during this whole point I've been locked alone in my room. Like it sucked. Like Dallas had to like leave food and water at my door. It was horrible. So like I felt like I was like in prison. But so when
Right.
I went to Renown, um they did my oxygen levels and I was dropping to an 87, and which was really bad for a 26-year-old. So they're
Wow.
like, no, you're not going to the tent, because that's another thing. They have tents that are outside for people that have respiratory stuff, and then they have like this whole quarantine space that's cut off from like another part of the ER. So they have two different ERs going on now at the Renown. And
Right.
they rushed me back to the COVID area, which of course scared the crap out of me because I don't know. And I told them, I mean, I'm presumed to have COVID. The test technically is positive, but it broke. And they're like, are you sure? And I was like, I cannot make this up. Like, this is literally
That's
what
what they told me. Yeah.
they And so I go in there and my oxygen levels are like all over the place, but they pretty much told me that since I'm like not unconscious, they can't give me oxygen. They can't do anything. They don't have the supplies. They said that they need to give the supplies to those that are going to ICU. So they pretty much just gave me more medication and said, good luck again, patted me on the back, and
God.
I literally, so I my oxygen levels were so bad. So my fiance had put my coffee table in my room so that I can set up my computer so I'm not completely like alone doing nothing in here.
Right.
Um, my oxygen levels were so bad that when I had gotten up to use the restroom, I blacked out and I ended up hitting my head, which is not good. I've already been told, obviously, because of what's going on with my MRI, I
Right.
can't move
Protect
my
that
head.
head.
So I had hit my head and I had a good old goose egg right here. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is why people are dying. Like,
Right.
like we're not getting help. Like, I
So
don't know.
you think this is everybody's going through this. It's not just like your bad dumb luck, right?
No, because I ended up going to the hospital 4 times. And I ended up going so I went to St. Mary's and I went to Renown twice. And
Right.
then I went to Carson, Tahoe. And so after the third time of going to the hospital, which was at Renown, and then them just giving me stronger medications, um, I tried to wait it out, and this is now about week 2, going into week 3 of being really sick. And I tried calling my doctor because I obviously did not want to go to the hospital. I did not want to go. So I
Right.
called my
Anything you could
doctor
do.
and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm getting worse. I'm in pain. I can't breathe. And he's like, okay, you can come, to the office. We're not taking anybody with respiratory inside the building, but we can come to your car and triage you and, check you and all that stuff. So I went there, and then of course my oxygen levels were really low, like I've been trying
Right.
to tell everybody, and they're like, you need to go to the hospital now. And I was like,
Oh,
so I had to go, and my doctor's in Carson because I moved to Sparks like only like 5 or 6 months ago, so I didn't move my doctor. There's no reason to. So
right.
my doctor is in Carson, so he told me to try going to Carson Tahoe. So I went to Carson Tahoe and had to deal with the whole freaking process again. I do have to say, surprisingly, Carson Tahoe had it more put together than Renown.
Weird,
But
huh? Yeah. And they're considered smaller.
Mhm. Like I'm talking, they had like plastic like on the walls and like everything that so anytime somebody would walk in the room, so they didn't have reusable suits. They had just one suit that they would wear.
Hmm.
So if anybody that would walk in the room and then walk out of the room, they would literally spray them with like or Lysol. I don't know what it was,
Whatever
but
it was, yeah.
stuff. And so yeah, it was like a very clean, they were very kind, like, because that's the other thing, like, with Renown and even St. Mary's, like, you do feel very isolated and very alone. Like you're not allowed to have anybody with you. They pretty much like lock you in the room, and it's like very,
Hmm.
and you feel horrible. But this hospital at Carson Tahoe, they had a nurse stay with me the entire time, and we were like having conversations, and she was making
Right.
sure it was okay. Like it was great. Like they actually gave me some good treatment. But same thing, she was like, we're really limited. They wanted to do a CT because I had symptoms of a blood clot because I was having these calf pains. So they weren't sure if I had possibly gotten a clot maybe in my lungs, which was causing so much problems.
Right.
But again, because I had respiratory issues, I was presumably positive for COVID. They couldn't take me to go do a CT because then that would technically contaminate everybody else because I would have to go through the other portion of the ER because
Right.
everything all blocked off. So
That's man, yeah, I just, I just only thing I can do is like wish you, good luck, good health. As this kind of goes through, it seems like you've gone through more than, more than anybody that I know, more than what I've done. Like I never spent time at the hospital or anything. Um, but yeah, it's frustrating because this is, where we put our trust in all these hospitals and everything, and then you're not getting not even the respect. You're just not getting the help that you need or want, or like at least go home feeling like, hey, it worked for me. Oh my god, yeah. Keep me posted on that. Keep me posted on everything goes. I'm sure you're writing on social media. I said yesterday, like, um, I've been so focused on like my stuff on social media that I haven't been looking at anybody else's. So I feel like I'm super behind and super out of the loop with everybody, which is not a bad thing. But like, me owning Hatch before in the past, I always feel like I knew what photographers were up to and what we're doing. But I do want to bring it back to your photography here.
yeah,
I remember you. One of the first times I met you, I think was at like Galena Creek Park or something. Was at a park,
I remember.
and I remember you were just carrying the heaviest setup I've ever seen in my entire life. You had a tripod, you had an Einstein battery of the Vagabond, and you had an Einstein, and you also had their beauty dish. Which, if nobody knows this beauty dish, what a beauty dish is, the focus is light. I always joke and say it's made for beautiful people, but the beauty dish is super heavy, doesn't fold up at all or anything, and you were
No.
just carrying it around. And I'm sitting there looking at you, and I'm like, that's insane. That's intense. And now I have like foldable soft boxes that go with me. My setup's battery only, so it's very different. Have you changed your setup? And then also like your style has changed as well. So I want you to get into like what actually made you change your style and how did you find your style that you like? Because sometimes people can say your style, the type of style that you do, isn't true to life, right? It's more brown. We use the word muddy, which isn't a bad word, but it sounds bad.
Yeah.
But it has like those brown red tones to it.
Yeah.
What do you say
So
to those people too?
I think I think it actually comes more into terms of my personality. So I'm a very like alternative, rockish, punkish person. That's how I've always kind of been.
Red
And
hair, right?
so, right, it was the red hair, the tattoos. I just have always been the black sheep of like the family and everything. Like that's just me. So when it came to figuring out my style and the work that I wanted, I really wanted to kind of bring that like kind of alternative feel into my
Right.
images. And once I started actually like establishing, good connections with people, and people actually were like willing to work with me, I was actually able to start creating what my visions were and what I would actually want to do and work with. And so that kind of started with the whole stylizing shoots, and then I was able to start getting paid stylized shoots, which is insane. and
Right.
and then so most of my work, they look like they're stylized shoots, but they're actually paid work. Like people are paying me for that.
Right. And what you mean is like a lot of times we do creative shoots and we do it on our own exposure bucks, right? So we're doing it for free in hopes that
Yeah,
somebody will donate their time and we don't have to pay them. They're not paying us. They get the photos.
yeah,
And then the goal is like, and we had a little conversation on the phone a couple months back about commercial work, but in the commercial work, that's what we have to do. I have to shoot these things to show people that I can shoot them, and then they'll book me to shoot those things. So
yeah,
nobody ever just hires us to be like, we need uber creativity, do whatever you want. This is, this is a theme and this is all we care about. Shoot it and we'll love it. It never happens that way. You have to prove what you can do first before doing it.
yeah, definitely. And so then as far as the editing goes, I love those warm tones. And so as far as warm tones go, I mean kind of like that sunset golden hour kind of look.
Right.
So I always kind of strive to shoot underexposed, so then I can bring it back up in post processing and do the lighting exactly the way I want it to look.
Right.
And I have finally started nailing that down so I can have a consistency with that kind of brown tone.
Right.
um, and for me, I love it, and obviously clients are paying me for it, so they
I
must
think
love
it's yeah,
it.
I think it's good. The also reason I think people like it a lot is because everybody's going overexposed and airy, and I think that's starting to go away right now.
Mhm.
I see a ton of wedding portfolios, photography portfolios where it's just everything's overblown. Like the sky is always too white. And
Yeah,
it was a style for a long time. It was a beauty style where everything is just the highlights are too high, the shadows are too high. So you shoot the way that actually I shoot. So I shoot one stop under, so I underexpose my images, and then I edit them a different way, right? So I have a custom edit. Um, but we have the same starting process, and the reason I like is I can play with my tones and my highlights while I'm editing,
mhm,
and yeah, you get to create that contrasty look. I don't want to use the word like gothic, but I always get kind of to that like, you know, that where the blacks look really good, almost Game of Thronesy, where it's like it's dark but you can still see what's going on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, definitely. And I don't know. I feel like to me it makes the images speak.
Right.
But and that's a whole nother thing too. I feel that when it comes to finding your style, that doesn't mean that should always be your style. I feel like you should be able to be vulnerable to changing it as times go on, as things change, or if you just want to, if a shoot or a person just doesn't fit that look, or the day of light, because obviously with weddings, I
Right.
really plan that. And so that's why, like with brides and stuff, I send them like 15 plus full galleries. I'm like, okay, look, here's a wedding in full daylight, here's a wedding during sunset, here's a wedding
Right.
in the morning. Like, you got to understand, like, some of these shots that you're seeing, like, I planned this out. Like, I had like a session plan for 5 o'clock at night. Like, I had this all figured out, but obviously a wedding does not go that way. So
Right.
what
Well, and it's okay. Like in my contract, I have a little clause that says artistic. It's an artistic creative clause, and basically, I'm allowed to change whatever I want. If I decide that I want to do something different for your wedding, I'm allowed to do that. I have the
Yep.
skills to
Yep.
go back if I need to, but that's not, you can't book me off of a wedding I did 2 years ago because you like that style.
Yeah.
It just might
Yep.
not be what I do
Exactly.
anymore. So it's one of those things where I think photographers need to remember that they can update their contract and play with that stuff.
Yep, exactly. When with the whole lawsuit thing that I had, which I'm not scared to talk about. I'm actually kind of proud of it,
Right.
because it was a lot to learn, and I won. And it's because my contract. I had a really good contract.
So let's talk about this. So basically, you got sued by a couple because they didn't like the style that you did, or
His grandma didn't
oh,
like it.
that's right.
It wasn't the couple. The couple just stopped talking to me, but grandma decided to step in.
And was
But
grandma on the contract or anything, or
yes,
she just
so
okay?
that was my mistake. And so obviously now I will only allow bride and groom to sign the contract.
Right,
And this is after talking with the judge, which was a really cool experience, because after the whole court hearing and everything, I was able to sit down with the judge and discuss with her about everything.
oh,
It was kind of a really cool experience to kind of learn like all these different legalities and stuff that she's seen, because there's actually a lot of photographers, which I will not name, that have been sued that people don't know about. And
right,
she was telling me all these different, scenarios and situations. But she made a great point about the whole, you only want to have bride and groom on the contract. And the reason being is because once you start having third, fourth, fifth parties all involved, it's obviously going to get messy, because then
right,
technically they all have their own opinions. But inevitably, it's the bride and groom's day. So that's who you're serving. It does not matter if dad's paying, it does not matter if grandma's paying, and so on and so forth. It's the bride and groom. So the
right.
way I do it now is, I use HoneyBooks. So even if my bride and groom are like, oh, well, my mom wants to pay, I'm like, okay, cool. They can go on the contract. They can go on the invoice and pay, but you're
Right, but you're
signing
signing the
the contract.
contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, I even had this conversation with the client that I booked last night because she booked me for September, but her grandparents are paying for it. And I said, that's cool. Anybody can pay for it, but me and you are the ones that are talking. So everything's going to go through you and me. And if
Yep.
they need to say anything, I'll be like, cool, just talk to the bride and figure it out. And I think that's smart to know. So you learned from that mistake, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It will bring you to court, and then ultimately you won everything, right? Was
Yeah.
it because your contract was good?
Yeah, my contract was solid there. And I mean, the lady, in all honesty, was just making ridiculous claims. And
Right.
it was because, like, she was trying any way possible to get money. So, like, she just kept changing her reason on why we were in court. And the judge caught on with that too, because, like, she would literally even contradict herself. She'd be like, she didn't even get family pictures and blah, blah, blah. And then her next sentence would
Mm,
be, look at these family pictures. And we're just like, what are you even talking about?
right.
So
So yeah, so
yeah,
luckily you had somebody that was a little crazy, quote unquote. I mean, she probably felt that she was right the whole time, but ultimately, you can't have two people that are right for everything.
no.
Um, how do you think? All right, we're switching tracks here. How do you think the community here is in Reno with photographers and all that? I've spent my whole career building this community of photography.
Yeah.
Um, but one of the scary things that I think about is LA. So I have photographers in LA, San Francisco. I have friends everywhere. And it's harder for them. They don't feel like the close knit community. Are you concerned about that? I mean, are you going to go there and try to make friends? Or are you just going to stick with this community here and then just do what you got to do?
I'm not scared. And the reason why is actually my father is a professional photographer as well, and
Nice.
he was based out of Hermosa Beach, California. He moved up to Bishop recently, and
Oh,
but he did strictly commercial work. And I mean, like, he worked for like Adidas sneakers. He even did Victoria's Secret. Like, he did some pretty amazing stuff.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
Completely different, work than I did. And I feel, as far as larger communities go, what makes you stand out is making yourself stand out and not being scared about it. And
Right.
I feel from even my own research, because I'm already in all the LA photo groups and stuff like that, my work is completely different. And
Cool.
I feel like I'm going to just bring that to that community. And the cool thing is too, is I already know some florists, I already know some rental companies that are willing to work with me. So like I got all these games going to start getting some stylized shoots going so I can start pumping out some work there in LA.
So you're going to take what you've done here and then transfer it over there and then build that brand.
Yep.
I think it's smart, and that's one of the scariest things that I have. Luckily, your husband has an amazing mystery job that even if you do don't start right away, you can still have time to kind of push that out.
Yeah.
On that note, how do you feel? You've been shooting professionally for 3 years, right? Is that what you said?
No, 5 years.
5 years, and how long have you been
3 years
shooting
full
before that? Okay,
time. So 12 years in total. 5 years, I actually have been like, okay, I need to like step it up and actually
right.
learn. 3 years full time.
Okay. Um, when you started, let's go the 5 and the 3 years. How do you feel like the Reno photography community has changed, or has it changed?
So crazy. So, just like everybody else, so when I first started, like actually really wanting to like do this professionally,
Hmm.
um, I went on to all like the photo groups and stuff like that, and I was like learning and asking people questions and all these different things. And I was working with some people that now I would honestly never work with again.
Right.
And I really started kind of learning and growing different relationships and starting to build the people that I want around me. And now, seeing it from the way it was, I would have to say that there has been a lot of negativity, mainly with those groups, because there has been a lot of really bad. I wouldn't call them photographers, to be honest. They just claim
Right.
photographers.
I think people get. I think it's jealousy. I think people get jealous, and then they use these groups as like ninja warriors, like or keyboard ninjas. I left every single group at this point. I only have my group, which is called that other photo group, because
Mhm.
every time you would post or say something, you'd get something back that I'm like, please research on like why I'm telling you this. Like I have a reason to tell you this. Please learn from it. But no, it's that negativity to it. But yeah, you were saying so you feel, yeah, some of these are, we call them photographers, right? So FAUX,
Mhm.
rather than photographers.
Yeah, which it honestly puts a bad name on the actual professionals because it makes these models or inspiring models or even people that are just wanting pictures have this view on what a photographer is supposed to be doing.
Right.
And it makes us look bad when we're like, no, like that's not professional at all. And I am not doing that. Like I'm not, like, that's just not okay with one of the saddest situations, which actually involves a child. I had a client come to me because I hold these children couture sessions occasionally,
Right.
where I rent out these gowns and then I get a hair and makeup artist and make these little girls feel like little princesses. It's fun. And one of these clients, she had expressed to me about one of those photographers that had been actually blacklisted. He was blacklisted because of many things
Ooh,
that he's done.
yes,
Um,
I think I know.
and she was saying how pretty much, he made it seem like it was going to be this full production shoot. And before they know it, she is at their house and he just has like this black sheet in his room. And he was like photographing her daughter, who, mind you, is like 6 years old. And it was a very uncomfortable situation. And she was
Right.
saying when she did further research and saw all the naked and nude photos that he does, she realized that she had put herself in a very uncomfortable, unsafe situation. And I obviously didn't really say much because I don't want to cause drama. I don't want her to
Right.
feel like I'm
Sometimes it's hard to prove that you're doing it for the well-being of the client rather than
yeah.
the
And so I
negativity of
ran
another
myself and
photographer.
said, well, we're going to have a great day today. Like, I'm so sorry that you had that experience. But it did, hit me in the heart and made me like realize like, wow, like there are people that are actually having these horrible experiences with these people that are claiming to be professionals, and it does make us actual professionals look so bad and makes people so wary
Right.
about it, and it's really kind of sad because yeah, I've had people even question about contracts, like they're like, oh, I've never had a contract, like why do you have a
I
contract,
know. I know.
you
I
know
got into a huge fight with a model, a Reno model, and because I give her a contract to fill out, even though I think it was a trade shoot at the time, but I give her a contract to fill out, and she got super mad. Mentioned like 3 or 4 photographers that she's worked with a ton of times, and they never gave her a contract. So I never shot her because she didn't fill out my contract. Ultimately, she put me on a website called thedirty.com, and everybody had a chance to kind of rip on me for a good 3 weeks. And so that was kind of my like, and that kind of pushed me away from shooting these trade shoots with models, or at least people that I don't know. So I don't go off of looks, I don't go off of what you can do. I'm just kind of like, sometimes I'd rather shoot somebody that I know appreciates my work more,
yeah,
than somebody that has a big Instagram following.
yep, definitely contracts are so important, so
Oh
important.
yeah.
And I mean, yeah, and I use that whole lawsuit thing for, as in a phenomenal example. And especially with male photographers, you guys are even more at risk. And that judge had even explained that more because
Right.
females and female models have used that privilege, or
I
I don't know
believe it.
want to call it, but
Yeah.
to state that you are doing sexual things or whatever,
Right.
or so on and so forth. And so, like, the contracts are there to not only protect us as the professional
Right.
vendor, but also you as the client that we're working with. Even if you're not paying, you're still a client to us, and
Right.
everything should be a professional
It's a
standpoint.
good it's a good PSA. If you're doing a shoot, get a contract, get something in writing, and that's really what it is. So McKenna, we have like 5 minutes left here on our stream. I actually didn't tell you when we started the stream, so you have no idea when we actually started it. I just let it happen, and that's kind of what I like to do. Before I ask you my have you do your final thing here, are you guys Netflixing, or what do you guys watch on TV right now?
Yeah, so we're Netflixing. We're actually Netflixing one of the shows that Dallas will be working on. There's a
Wow.
kind of bit of a
Great.
hint,
So look, now okay, so he has a show. It's a show he's working on, not Pixar, not Disney. Cool. We're getting there. We're getting close.
but is it Pixar? Is it
I
Disney?
don't know. I feel like
I
a
don't know.
show. I don't know if they're on there.
We'll see.
Um, awesome. So, well, yeah. What are you guys watching? What are you guys kind of indulging in with this little time off?
My God, like everything. So, we have watched the entire Star Wars trilogy. Like, I'm talking
Cool.
like top to bottom.
Beginning. Yeah.
Star Trek. We have watched Ozark, which I couldn't really get into, but we still watched it.
I finished
Uh,
I think the first 2 episodes. I haven't started the third episode or third season. I haven't started the third season yet.
okay, and then we watched the Avatar: The Airbender, the entire
Oh
series.
my God. Yeah. Have you
Um,
guys have you guys done Tiger King?
yes, we did the Tiger King.
Tiger
Carol
King.
Baskin, she's guilty.
She killed her husband. I mean, the
She
fact that
killed her
nobody even
husband.
like is asking these questions on why she killed her husband or where her husband is or how she doesn't care and who that new dude is, like nobody. They just kind of skipped that. They just kind of skipped that whole thing, and it's weird. Um, have you been watching? Are you like? Do you watch? I just got DC Universe, the
Yeah.
channel, so I've been watching Titans on that, and that's what I'm streaming now.
Okay.
But there's like 2 or 3 shows on there that are really good, and it's like $8 a month. So I'm just gonna sign up for like 2 months and then be done
Okay.
with it. But
Yeah,
it's
I
fun. It's
haven't been
gory,
on, but yeah, I'm a huge horror movie fan.
right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I just love horror movies, even though they can scare the crap out of me
Well, that's the
because,
point, right?
right? I've had some ghosty experiences, which could be a whole nother discussion. But I feel like that's why I just love it so much because it's like so thrilling, and because for me personally, it has been real, so it makes it real. So
Right.
I just love horror movies. Like they're just so fun, and of course Dallas hates them, but I make him watch
Yeah,
them.
I feel like I like them, but I never watch them. I get anxious. Like and I think that's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to get anxious with that. I'm like, something's gonna happen. But I'm such like when I watch movies, I watch it with like a cinematic eye, and I'm more
Yeah,
focused on how they're lighting things
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
how things are happening. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool rim light right there. Like, what if I did that in a shoot? And
I've
so
done
sometimes I kind
that.
of kills me. So but that's why I like watching like oh god, the Game of Thrones and all that stuff, because I get to figure out what they're doing with all that lighting. So Makena, the last thing that I always have people do is I need you to pimp yourself out, your business, what you're doing, how people can find you. I know that you're moving, but technically this is still your clientele. So we're going to assume that as well. So everybody that's listening, but tell me about your business and how people can find you.
So my name is McKenna. Obviously, I am the owner of Makena Lee Photography. I consider myself a unique artistic individual. I love the high-end kind of production sets. I try to hold those for clients that want them. I also love candid shoots, so I'm all about the adventure. I'm the type that I will literally hop in your car and we are gonna go for a day. Like I'm not sitting there with a timer saying we got 1 hour. I'm
Right.
like, let's go for a fucking adventure and let's have some fun. I feel like that's always like the best time, especially when it comes to couples, because if I'm doing their wedding, I want to become their best friend. So that's pretty much about me. I'm
Cool.
candid. I'm dramatic, a little extra.
You're on a little extra. You're on Facebook, you're on Instagram. You got a TikTok?
I have not. I've seen everybody
Dude, right
start
now, as soon as we're done, just go to TikTok, start TikToking.
start TikToking. Oh my god, I'd probably be ridiculous. I don't know if you saw, but probably you shouldn't. But it's okay. I've never done boudoir myself, and I wouldn't consider them boudoir pictures, but they're
Right.
like semi boudoir. But it was just super funny because I started this creatives group, just my own little whatever positivity group that I
Mm-hmm.
can handle. Because yeah, I can't handle some of these other groups. Your
Right.
group's fine, but um so I had this whole quarantine selfie challenge this week, and my fiance took pictures for me, and I got a box of White Claw, and I was literally just like chugging them and having like the blast of my life, and I was just wearing like a jacket and some shorts, and they're like kind of sexy but hilarious. Like I put the box on my head, and it was just super stupid, but it was a
Love that.
experience. We gotta have fun right now. Like
Right.
it's kind
Well,
of crazy.
and that's what photography is. I think a lot of people take it too seriously, and
Yeah,
ultimately it just makes it. It's not where we're at, and I always find that the people that are more argumentative on the social media groups tend to be newer and tend to be less experienced, and they're frustrated, but they don't know how to react to everything. So I'm at the point now where I used to feel like I have to comment on everything, and now I just don't comment on anything at all, and I'm like, just you
to
do
live,
you.
like yeah,
Yeah.
chill on that because I see that's another thing too. Like I feel like I have learned my voice, and so like especially when I see something really unprofessional happening, like I have a hard time not going on there and being like, no,
Right.
and I'm like,
Right.
but at the same time, I've also gotten messages, from people saying, thank you for sticking up for our community. So I do know that even though I lost a follower or whatever because I told them, like, that's not okay,
Mm-hmm.
I know that people that do respect, professionalism and respect me also are respecting the fact that I'm standing up for
Right.
it. So,
Well, and ultimately, these people don't pay your bills. I mean, I can tell you on, like I have a handful of people that I know talk negatively about what I do and like when I built Hatch and all that stuff. And it comes back. So we shoot the same models, and I'll get these little conversations, and they're like, "Yeah, this person said something really bad about you, and I was hesitant to work with you, but now I'm working with you, and you're like a normal person." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am a normal person." But I never get into that realm of talking negative about another photographer ever. Like even if the model or something wants to start that, like, what do you think about this person? I just don't do it. And it's weird for me to imagine people having these full conversations with their client about other businesses and how they don't like those other businesses. It's just super
yeah.
weird to me.
Yeah, I've had that happen quite a bit, and I try to just change the subject as quick as
Right.
possible, because I don't want to have to get tied into it, unless absolutely necessary. Like if
Right.
I'm in,
Somebody's murdering people, but that's my Facebook post. I'm like, hey, don't go see this photographer. They murdered people.
right?
So
Because then at that point, it's like,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, if you don't want to
but
be murdered.
no,
McKenna, go ahead and say bye on Facebook here. Nothing's gonna change. I'm gonna keep you on. I'm gonna talk to you just a little bit more. So say bye. Cool. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. What do you got going on the rest of the day?
I'm gonna be editing. So I got like 20 SD cards to finish.
God, that's gross.
Yeah, I'm not enjoying this whole editing thing right now.
No.
I'm just not. I have to
Sure.
say, I love your room.
These
It's
are all
very,
my cards.
oh my gosh. All of the
Keep them
cards.
in
Yeah.
here. So these are like half my cards because the other ones are all in yeah, in those in my bag.
See, I started like having to label them by like numbers.
Mine always get like melted off or something by my thumbs.
Oh, so have you tried using the Sharpie, the fine pen, like the
Yeah, so that's what I use. And then um I mean, are you putting your own stickers on them?
No, I didn't put stickers on them. I just wrote on them. Like
Right. So
I don't
right.
do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so mine are I mean the SD cards, so they don't have like a way to like write on it.
Oh, you're talking about the actual SD cards.
Yeah. Oh, you're putting it on the cases?
Yeah, so on this case, I
Right.
put one, two, three,
Uh,
four, so on and so forth. Because yeah, no, the like SDs, I had the same problem. It was just not working for me. I mean,
right.
and the little like the little line is
Yeah. Well, that's what my thumb comes off. But I mean, my process is simple. Like, if it's in my, these are my thing here. So I got a bunch of these leather things made, and so they hold my cards in it.
Ooh,
But and there's stuff Etsy. Just look for SD card, and it comes in 6. But I asked them to make me an 8 one, so they made me a bunch of these. And but basically, if they're facing forward, they're ready to go.
yeah,
I can use them, and once I
yeah.
use them, I put them backwards, and then I
Okay.
bring them home, and they sit on my desk right here until they're uploaded. Once they're uploaded, then they go into this thing right here.
What do you have for your storage stuff? What do you
So
use?
I use I have a 8 terabyte Seagate that's a backup, but my main one is it's called a OWC Old World Computer Thunder Bay 4, and it's a RAID network, right? So it has 4 different hard drives in it. It's one of the ones you take the hard drives, pull it in and out, and it records like 18 terabytes worth of stuff. But
Okay,
the way that it works is there's 4 different hard drives, and it
yeah.
only records to 75% per hard drive, and which means you're only using 75%. The last 25% is a complete backup on
Okay.
each one. So if you lose one drive, it can actually pull from the other drives to make a full drive.
Okay.
Because in December I had a huge loss of everything. My computer shut down and it killed all my hard drives. So I had to take it to Macorama and Sparks, and they redid everything for me and found all my stuff.
Yeah, I had that
But it
happen.
costs a lot. Yeah. So what are you doing? It's just hard drives?
So I have the 8 terabytes, but I have
Mm-hmm.
three of them. And
Yep.
so then I use obviously all three. So
Right.
I pretty much upload them to each one. And then I also, the online galleries is also a saving measure too, because I just pay for the
Right.
membership. So like all the finished images just stay on the online galleries.
And
And
then
then I
do you have a
have,
cloud-based service on top of it? Do you use like Backblaze? Have you heard of Backblaze?
no, I haven't. I tried looking at some cloud services, but I couldn't find one that like seemed like reasonable
All right.
or
So
at
the
least
only one you need to get is it's called Backblaze, backblaze.com.
I'm gonna write it down.
And it's like Carbonite, but it's way easier, and it'll actually um, anything that's plugged into your computer, it will back up constantly as long as you're on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So I have a little thing up here, and it looks like a little piece of fire, but it tells me like remaining files, everything's been backed up already. If I edit a new file or whatever, it'll back it up.
Yeah.
And then if something happens, you can actually they'll send you a hard drive of your entire system to re-back up. And I think it's like $5 a month.
Really?
Yeah, and all it does is backs up, and all your 8 terabyte hard drives that you have plugged in your computer, you back those up with it.
Do you use
Um,
Mac or
I'm on Mac.
you are? Okay.
Mhm.
Then I have another question. So
Yeah.
my computer has been running, and I literally just got this desktop. Like it's brand new. I got
Right.
it November,
Hmm.
something like that. It's new, and it is being so slow, and I cannot figure it out. I have everything on the hard drives. I have like nothing
How
on
much
my.
space do you have on your computer still?
So let's look. because I can't figure out if maybe it's like the caches or caches. How do you
The
say that?
cache, yeah, the cache, like
On
the
like
flash storage.
Lightroom and Photoshop. If
Are
that's
you
maybe,
storing everything on Lightroom? I mean, where are you storing all your stuff?
think I'm storing it onto my hard drives, but I
Right.
feel like maybe I'm not because something's going on with my freaking computer. I mean, like it's
It
to the
just feels like
point
it's really slow.
so slow, and it's like it makes me take like 3 hours longer just to fucking edit a 1 hour session, and I'm
Yeah.
just what is happening, and it is so stressful.
It's
Okay,
it's super frustrating. So a couple of things that are slowing things down, especially editing. Um, do you know if you're using regular USB or using the Thunderbolt and the or the USB C?
um,
Or what year is your computer, I guess actually?
so the computer is it'd be a 2019.
Okay, so brand new. So it should have the smaller ports in the back, right? So it has a USB and then the smaller USB-C ports.
Yes.
Is anything plugged in those USB-C ports?
No.
Okay, so one of the things that like my Thunder Bay, so I highly recommend. What does Dallas do for backing his stuff up? Does he use a Thunder Bay or does he use the same system as you?
Well, so he uses like a Windows, like I
Right, but as far as like, I
don't
mean,
know.
it's all theoretically the same. But what I would do is I was look into old world computers, and I would YouTube it first. But OWC,
I'm writing
uh,
this down.
yeah, OWC. It's called Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay 4 is what I use, and one of the key reasons I use it plugs in USB C to USB C, and USB C right now is the fastest transversion from hard drive to computer. And the reason that things might be so slow is if you're storing your files, say on an external hard drive, and it wants to pull into your computer, it has to go this to there and back rather than just
So
pulling
maybe
it, right?
the hard drive that's being like super slow and stuff.
Right. So, and with the hard drive, the other issue is if you don't have enough space on your computer and your computer's already running slow from having another software open or the internet or something,
Yeah.
it's not running fast enough. So I always like the external, but you need it faster. USB is old. Back 5, 6 years ago, it was considered fast what you're doing. But now, like as soon as I open things up, it just pops up right away. The
Okay.
processing happens right away. And that might be it. I use those hard drives, the ones that you're talking about, the 8 terabyte, like Seagate or Western Digital, just to store like my time machine is on one. And then the other one is just a backup of files. So when I go into Lightroom, it backs up all to one other system. But
Yeah.
everything's stored on the Thunder Bay. So
Oh.
Thunder Bay is super quick. I can access it anytime. And that might be a key. The other thing I would recommend is if you have time, I would actually take it to Macorama in Reno. Just tell them I sent you. They're kind of off of Mill and McCarran, kind of by like Cammy Craig
I doubt
Fitness.
they're open though right now, huh?
They are, but message them.
What?
Call them, message them. Yeah.
Okay.
I would give them a call, shoot a message, say Jeremy sent you. They know me well now because they literally got everything. But it might even be easier for them instead of you fiddling with everything. They're the ones that actually told me about Old World Computer, and they offered to even set it up for me. But I just bought it and set it up myself. But they were like, if you
Right
buy
in
it through me,
my hard drives because that scares me.
if it's plugged in, it shouldn't be there shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
But
Okay.
remember, anytime that you like upload or back up your update a software or whatever, you always unplug everything from the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't have to bring it, but you can. Sometimes, you know, what they did with me is I just brought my computer and they said, okay, well, we need to test this. Can you bring one of your hard drives in? Because my hard drives failed. But you
Okay.
can say, hey, my computer's running super slow. You probably just have to bring your computer. You don't have to bring your keyboard or anything. And they'll go in and they'll look at the systems and they'll be like, this is what's going on. You're overusing this. You're not using enough of this, or all of your performance is going towards Lightroom. I mean, it should only be like 20% towards Lightroom or something.
Okay.
And that
Okay.
might work.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you for that, bro.
Yeah, there's a
Because
ton of stuff. And then also, I think one time I called Lightroom and I said, hey, Lightroom's taking forever to open. Every time I would open up Lightroom, it would take forever for it to process. And so I called Lightroom and he went in and did something remotely. So they just took over my computer via remote and they were able to make it super fast again. But it only
yeah.
lasted like 2 months.
Oh. Well.
So once I took it to Macrorama, they did everything for me and then took care of everything. I mean, if they have to reset your computer, what they do is they take the whole computer, throw it on their master drive, and then reset your computer and then put it back on like normal. So you don't even know.
There you go.
Yeah,
at
but
work.
They're Apple certified, which means that if you have an Apple issue, Apple sends people to them. But I think it's like a $59 diagnostic, and then they go from there.
Okay, well that's not bad.
It's
I
not one. It's just that to
it's like
save the time, you know. I mean, like if you're taking 3 hours to do something, and it should only take like 15 minutes,
yeah.
that time value's there.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Cool. Thank you so much for doing this.